Welcome to episode 6 of the Listening Circle. We are still quarantined and we're halfway through 2020, possibly heading into the worst half, depending on how everything goes. But we figured it'd be a good idea, since we're halfway through, to go over some of our favorite albums of the year so far. So without further ado, I'm Elias, your host, and everyone say hi when I say your name. We have Jackson.
Yeah.
And we have Grant.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have Dante.
Hello. I think that summed up 2020 pretty much. Jackson's response.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I like how
Yeah,
you say, "Oh yeah, it'll be the worst half or the better half." What if there is no other half? What if this is just it? You know?
That is an option, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump could just decide to just kill everyone, right?
I mean, he's already kind of doing that.
Big fireball time. You know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Did I fuck up this intro?
Not at all.
I think we improved it, to be honest.
But we're here to talk about music.
That's true. And hey, honestly, the best thing we have going for us is the fact that we still have music, right? That's what's going to carry us through these dark times.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But
music and friends.
yes, music and friends. Well, fuck friends. But
well, if you do fuck friends, be sure to communicate about it, so that way things don't get complicated. Pro tip from me to you.
Our top pro tip from the Listening Circle, guys. Write it down.
Communication is key.
So a quick announcement before we get into things. We now have a subreddit. If you go to r/the Listening Circle, I still need to open it up so that people can post. It's been locked down just as I sort of figure everything out. But I've also been working on a Discord bot that will automatically post all the songs that we share in the Discord server to the subreddit, so people can carry on conversations and stuff. Which is also going to have a leaderboard feature, so the top voted songs get like special rewards and stuff. So it's going to be super exciting. Join the Discord server, join the subreddit, and we all know that you're lonely sitting at home. That's why you're listening to a podcast, so you can hang out with people, right? Or feel like you're hanging out with people. But what better way to hang out with people than in our music-focused Discord server? So that's going to be in the description. And I figured we'd get started with some of our personal picks for albums that we liked this year. And then after that, we're going to get into our main 3 that we wanted to discuss that we voted on. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Dante. What were your picks for your albums that you liked this year?
Are we going for both, or are we going to do one?
Yeah, just go ahead and give us both of them.
Okay, well, I would say my first, which I thought we were going to talk about for sure on this one, was Bob Dylan's Rough and Rowdy Ways. I thought for sure we were going to pick that one, but we didn't. But it's Dylan's first album since I think 2012, so almost in a decade. And to me, anything post 90s Dylan kind of sucks. Like everything, like I've tried. I love Dylan. I'm a big Dylan fan. I own Blonde and Blonde, Blood on the Tracks, all the great albums that he's produced. But I just couldn't get into any of his like newer shit. It was all just kind of like bland to me. It had none of that like kind of like early Hurricane era, maybe even pre-Hurricane era, where he was talking about killing fascists and shit like that. I couldn't get into that. But with this new one, I actually really, really, really deeply went into it. And there's like a 16-minute track on there on the last one. And he's like it's word association, like beatnik poetry. And it's, and they're not really metaphor. I mean, there are metaphors within the song, but he every word he's saying up front. He's not trying to sugarcoat anything. He's not trying to hide anything with hidden meanings. I mean, there are certain lines in there about it that really say those things. But he really deeply like just says all right there. He just lays it on the table, and I love it. And it's kind of really, I think, his best in a long time. So I really enjoyed that, and it's definitely, I think it's better albums. I definitely give it like an 8 out of 10. Fantano gave it a 4 to a light 5. He said it wasn't like anything like his. It's not into like the Mystic Sage era of like how Bowie and Cash did with their last albums. But he's definitely said it's probably his better writing he's ever done. Like he agreed with me on that aspect about anything post 90s kind of sucks. So I appreciated a lot of the album. It was definitely something really heavy and definitely really personal. And then I would say my second album for this year was I think, is the best album of the year, in my opinion. Or at least my personal album of the year. And I'm gonna fuck up her name and her album's name. And it's sad because I'm Spanish. I'm Cuban Spanish, and she's from Cordova. Her name is Maria Jose Llergo. I'm pretty sure I fucked that up. And her album's name is Sanacion, which means healing. And I'm pretty sure I fucked that up too.
We're all white. We can't tell. Sounds all the same.
Yeah, I won't correct you, buddy. Don't worry.
I know this group won't.
Como
but there's probably some
Maria
burrito, please.
Yeah. Nah, you're good, dude.
Okay, but she's a flamenco singer from Cordova. She has like this modern flair to it, so it adds like modern elements of mainstream industries, but also keeping the traditionalism alive. And I really enjoy that aspect. And it had a lot to say. And Rolling Stone apparently described this album as like a genre of music that's so insincere about Spain's history and also just history about colonialism in general than any textbook out there in most history classes and history books and things like that. So, and I honestly went into this album not knowing anything about her, not knowing anything about the style or blend of music she does or anything. And I don't speak Spanish, even though I should, because again, Cuban Spanish. And I didn't understand the lyrics, but the lyrics, it had a lot to say for sure. But at the same time, it impacted me. It hit me hard. It hit me in such a way that it transcended the language barrier. Like I understood what she was trying to go for in her themes and the messages she was trying to write within the album. And especially me, who grew up around like all this kind of flamenco music, because to me flamenco music was something like very similar to like the Gypsy Kings, like old Spanish men with beer bellies and Guayabera shirts, with pomade filled hair, and they stink of like really cheap cologne, but it was really expensive anyways, and they're strumming the fucking guitar like fucking madmen. That's the kind of flamenco shit I grew up on. It's a great album. Check it out. I think it's the best album of the year. No one voted on it because no one heard it, and it's great. Check it out. Maria Jose Llergo, Sanacion, healing.
Nice. Cool. I'll definitely check that out. That sounds good. Grant, what did you have anything that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, I didn't. Is it okay if I just talk about one album? Because the two
Totally
that I
fine.
would pick would be RTJ4 and the one I want to talk about. But we've already talked about RTJ4.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't in the poll. I figured. Like,
yeah, it's good shit. Listen to it if you haven't. But the album I wanted to talk about, I hadn't heard it, and I hadn't heard anything about the artist. UMMON by SLIFT. I really liked it. Yeah, it's one of those, for me it seemed like one of those albums that you can just kind of like lay back and listen to, or like do something hypnotic where you're not really like directly listening to the music. Like I listened to it when I was driving around at night, and I don't know, I just really like the whole feel of the album. It kind of reminded me of Sleep's Holy Mountain, and I'm a pretty big Sleep fan. So yeah, really big fan of that. And whoever suggested that, thank you, because it gave
I think it was
me,
Josh.
Yeah, it gave me a new artist to check out, because that's some good shit in my humble opinion. And then that's all I have to really say. I mean, I liked Tame Impala's new album, okay, but Lost in Yesterday off of that album is one of my favorite songs of the year. But that's not an album, that's a song. So
Cool. What about you, Jackson?
Well, for me, I've recently been getting way too into doom metal this whole quarantine
Never a bad
season.
thing.
And so the first album I'd like to shout out is the band name is In Aevum Agere. Probably butchered that. And the album's Canto 3. It's Italian doom metal. And it is good. It has like this almost like gothic feel, but I don't even know how to describe it. It's just almost like an opera. And it's really good. They have these great, like, epic. It's like epic doom, if you can call it that. Yeah, that's the first album I like to shout out, and just Italian Doom in general is really underrated. And then my second album is I forgot her name, but no, Jessie Ware, is that her name?
Hey, that's the
What's
one
Your
we're gonna
Pleasure?
talk about later in our episode. So save your thoughts.
Oh, okay, sweet, we'll do.
Cool. And then I had a couple that I wanted to shout out as well. There's a metalcore band from the UK called Loathe, and they made an album. What was it called? It was like a long, annoyingly long name, but they made an album that was pretty good. I hadn't heard of them before, but a lot of super heavy down-tuned riffs, a lot of breakdowns, some Deftonesy atmospheric parts too, and overall just like a banger album. I did think that the flow in some parts of the album like wasn't the best in terms of like blending everything with each other because there's so many different parts to the album, so many different styles that they're doing. But I think they did all the styles really well, and there were a lot of standout songs, and so that became part of my Doom Eternal playlist because I've been playing a lot of that game lately, and it's like fucking goes hard. And then my other pick was by uh, a side project of an electronic musician I follow named UMMON Tobin. And the project is Two Fingers. The album is called Fight, Fight, Fight. And he's known for like doing more like kind of cinematic experimental style of music. And this project of his is more like dance heavy, more kind of like upbeat in your face, like almost industrial, kind of like really heavy dance bangers. And it's awesome because it has all of his like sound design that he's known for, but it's like super makes you want to like get up and move around. It's really well done album, and he's done a cool he does cool live shows too. I saw him in LA a couple years ago under this project, so definitely check those out. And yeah, so now we can get into our main thing, and then of course, like, you know, obviously all of us like Grant would shout out RTJ4. Go check out that podcast episode if you haven't already. um Super relevant album to our times. And so yeah, I figured we have three that we want to go over. The three are Thundercat, King Krule, and Jessie Ware. And so I figured we'd go through them in that order, starting with Thundercat. So this was one that we all listened to together last weekend, and well, let's just open the floor. What did you guys? What were our general thoughts on it?
I really liked it. Yeah, I mean, Thundercat is a musician that I always really like listening to. I don't know, like I feel like his stuff is generally like I don't think he mixes it up too much in terms of his style. Might not be entirely correct in that, but like I don't know, like I feel like he provides like a very reliable, fun, kind of easy to listen to sound. Plus his bass lines are awesome, which is
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
the killer.
huge plus for me.
yeah. Thundercat's super talented. He's been playing bass for a while. I know he was kind of in that same group with like Flying Lotus and Kamasi Washington. Like they all sort of collaborate on a lot of stuff together. And so I think that's how I found out about him a while back. And yeah, I agree. I love this album. I think it's like probably his most consistent album yet. A lot of cool like R&B funk stuff going on. Definitely kind of a throwback, but
I love that do-rag song.
yeah, yeah, what was it called? Dragon Ball Durag.
Yeah, Dragon Ball do-rag.
That song is awesome, and the lead into that song is also pretty hilarious.
I mean, the whole hooks and leads into that song are just not song. That album is just it's killer. It's just
Yes.
it sinks you in from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I sound like a broken record on every episode because I'm always like, I don't know these artists very well. But no, yeah, I don't. I think that's the fun experience with every time we do these podcasts is I don't know these artists very well, but I hear the songs and I get into a new thing and I'm discovering new things along the way, and it's such a new experience for me each
Mm-hmm.
time. And listening to this album with you guys was really like just it's like definitely like an old school 70s like slow jam making love date night kind of song, like album. And I love fucking albums like that because like those are songs I can play around women that won't scare them off, because majority of my taste women don't like. So I have to like really find music that like I can play around my wife and she'll be like, yeah. I mean, my wife has similar taste towards me, but not when we're making out.
Talking about songs we'd like to do things to, Funny Thing off of the album. It's got like that bass line that go like it's very repetitive and it's very nice, and I don't know, it's a fun song to dance to when no one's looking, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of good danceable songs on there. Black Qualls was another highlight for me. Just because that was super, like, there's some songs on this album. I think Dragon Ball Durag was the other one that are just like super groovy and super funky and like make me think of like James Brown, and those are probably my favorites of this album. That's where I think it shines. A lot of cool bass things. The bass solo on Unrequited Love was cool. And I liked a lot of the synths as well. The whole like the thing that I like about albums that are sort of throwbacks to old styles is that like the production is usually so much cleaner because it's a new album and we have like newer technology, and so that's something that like makes me kind of almost prefer like the revamped like versions of old genres and styles, is because they sound really nice. You can hear all the different instruments shine through, and we just have access to like every tool in the book, you know? So yeah. Is that all we have to say on that one? Jackson, what'd you think?
I don't think I was there for the session last week, so I don't think I have too many comments.
Okay. Cool. Let's move on then. So we have King Krule with.
Is it King Krule or King K. Rool?
No, King K. Rool is the Donkey Kong character.
I know it's a Donkey Kong character, but I thought like maybe like he named it after that because he was like a fan of the game or something.
No, it was actually, that was one thing I looked up to. It's totally unrelated.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
He's never played Donkey Kong then, tragic.
Yeah, honestly, it might have had like a subconscious thing on him where he like doesn't know that was an influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, so King Krule, he's like kind of hard to describe his music, but it's very like, I've heard it described as art rock and like post punk and just very like kind of like moody, emotional, like but also like very subdued kind of like guitar music. And yeah, funny thing is I initially thought he was a rapper because my first introduction to him like 4 or 5 years ago was he did a feature on one of my favorite rap albums called So It Goes by Rat King. And he did like the chorus in one of those songs, and so I had no idea who he was, but he did a like pretty killer chorus for that song. And so I just assumed, okay, King Krule, he's a rapper, but I didn't really check him out until this album dropped. But yeah, so as far as this album, I really liked it a lot. I think some songs, it definitely had high points and low points for me. Like I think we can all agree Stoned Again was a pretty phenomenal song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah, and I love the guitar work on this whole thing. I think it's very like vibrant and a lot of emotions going on, but also just very like diverse. There's a lot of different styles. Like Comet Face kind of had like a punk feel to it, which was different from this, the second half of the album, which was more like psychedelic and vibey and jazzy and atmospheric. But yeah, overall, I think this is one of those albums that like, I can put on when I'm walking, I can put on when I'm doing work, and I can also just sit and like focus on it, and in all of those situations, it works really well.
It reminded me a lot of like kind of like Pink Floyd's like concept albums, like how The Wall or Dark Side, how like it had from beginning to end had a theme and it had an overall like tone that it adhered to, and it flowed just seamlessly. And if I really, like you were saying, like I didn't know really how to describe it, things like that, I think the way I'm personally the way I think I would describe it myself is probably like if Pink Floyd, The Clash, and like British hip hop with like vaporwave had a fucking baby, this would be it. And because when I even though we listened to it on the thing last week, I sat in my kitchen later and had coffee and ice cream, which is a weird fucking combination. And I just sat there listening to the album, like just dreaming off into space. And I felt like that was the perfect fucking like music to it, because it felt like I was just like floating through the void. And I was just like, and I was just letting it feel through me. And it's just like the guitar, like you said, the guitar tones, it has like this dreamy kind of like vibrant sounds, and it has like all these themes and messages. And music and themes and messages for movies, I can get themes and messages depending on the movie and things like that. But with music, it completely goes over my head. But like this, I felt it from the get go. And it felt so personal listening to this album. And I really enjoy music that really speaks to you personally. Like it was meant only for you. Like only you meant to listen to this album. And I love music like that, because it just makes it so much more of an experience for yourself, and it allows you to really like divulge into something deeper. And I love it. And I loved it from beginning to end. And just his whole tones. And I really love that song. Oh shit, I lost it.
Definitely with you on the concept album feel.
Yeah, Alone Omen 3, I really fucking loved that.
Yeah.
That was trippy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was definitely, and like I said, it sounded like a broken record. Never hearing the artist. I think also never hearing the artist also gives me an advantage. Not an advantage, but like, I wouldn't use the word advantage, but some kind of experience where you're just like, you have no pretenses about this person. You have no thoughts about this person. You just kind of like, it's like being a baby and listening to something for the first time, going like a virgin totally new into something and just experiencing it from that aspect.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I actually have to listen to it a little bit more, I think, because I don't know, I kind of have the opposite situation of what Dante has going on, because I've actually been a little bit of a fan of King Krule's for a while. I'm a big fan of 13 or 6 Feet Beneath the Moon, but the Ooze wasn't something that was as good. But I definitely agree that this album is one of those things that just sucks you in. You're definitely like super attentive while it's going on, and you're able to just kind of like go into that headspace.
Yeah, it's very meditative, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of pulls you in, like Dante was saying. Jackson, did you have any thoughts on this album?
Yeah, I was thinking about what Dante was saying about like the void, and along the way of like the void feeling like kind of a nice place to be right now. I'm probably gonna listen to it some more after this podcast, because I really love that psychedelic stuff. I like psychedelic rock stuff. That's when it gets emotional too. That's really good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of like for me, that's like the incentive to listen to music, is it's like puts me in tune with my own emotions. And so like the more emotionally layered something is, usually the more I end up liking it, which is why I really liked this album.
The best albums take you to a different place. Sure.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Okay, so now we can get to which was
The best album.
Yeah, probably our favorite. It seems like that all of us agreed. The Jessie Ware, What's Your Pleasure? And this album, it kind of it is amazing how much it like lets you like relive the disco era. So Jessie Ware is a pop artist primarily, and her music has always had like callbacks to earlier genres and things like that, but this album kind of like went all in on that and was very groovy, very disco, and I personally loved every second of it. What did you guys think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Jesus Christ, I fucking sound like stupid. Jeez, I've never heard you before.
I hadn't either, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's all right. I didn't even know.
This is my first exposure to her.
Well, apparently she's on the 50 Shades of Grey album.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how I missed that.
But yeah, like I was reading, like I hate quoting other reviewers because it makes me sound like I don't have my own opinions. I have my own opinions. I just like reference. It's like when you write an essay. It's like, well, if you refer to this book and it says this, and I would like to form my opinion based on that opinion.
Well, the great thing about doing a podcast and not an essay is that you don't have to cite your sources.
Yeah. So blindly follow my opinion.
This plagiarism. happening on this good Christian podcast? What in the fuck? How dare you? I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, Fantana was because this is where I got the information from, because Fantana was saying that like her previous works was not as good. It was kind of like it was very poppy. It was very like you said, it divulged into different genres, but she didn't really fully commit to those genres. She kind of like modernized it in a sense. But this one, I felt like I honestly could not tell the difference. I was listening to like a modern album. It honestly felt like I was listening to disco on like say Studio 54 back in like 78, like the era my dad grew up in. Like my dad grew up like listening to disco. He was a Cuban dude in Miami. You know, that was like all the rage and things like that. You know, he even went to a Metallica concert in a disco outfit because he was really going to go to the disco. And then someone's like, I got Master of Puppets tickets. You want to go? I was like, fuck yeah. And he couldn't have time to change, and he's wearing like a full Canadian tuxedo with like a gold chain, fucking cologne galore, mullet. He's got like the Cuban heel on and shit, and he's at this fucking concert like raging in the pit, fucking full Travolta Saturday Night Fever style.
Sounds like
yeah, I share. What?
Sounds like a good fit.
That sounds like a good fit. Yeah, I sent it to my dad, and he really liked. Bro, they're gonna be rock, bro. So I really enjoy the album. I enjoyed every song on the album. I wrote in my notes somewhere, and I can't find it for some reason, which one was my favorite song, because I am terrible at remembering tracks. But I've listened to this album, I think, like at least 15 times, and I can't stop listening. Every track is so groovy. It's so fun. It's so vibrant. I love her melodies, the synth harmonics. You know, even just the even some of the choruses got me in my head. You know, just like like "What's Your Pleasure" song itself is so good, and "Ooh La La," even even in "Your Eyes" or "Step Into My Life" are just great. And it's just I don't know the whole thing. I can't really specify what I love about the album. I think I just love the album as a whole, and everything about that keeps me grooving, keeps me moving, and keeps me want to like reminisce it to that time. Even though I never lived in the 70s with disco, it honestly makes me feel like I was in that era of like Donna Summers and all that shit. So yeah.
Yeah, if we could like travel back to the 70s but without all the racism, like I'd be totally down. If they're playing music
all
like this at all the
without all
parties,
the racism and homophobia.
that'd be awesome. Yeah, what were your thoughts, Grant?
I really liked it. It's definitely all the things that Dante said, but saying ditto is easy. Anyway, but it's really good. I really like a lot. There's actually a lot of really good bass lines on this album as well, I feel like, which was pretty cool. And that kind of reminded me, I think it was Elias that was saying that like one of the cool things about albums that try to do like a throwback, but like now, like, is that they have better production. When we were talking about Thundercat's album, and I think that kind of applies to this album as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Jackson, what were your thoughts on Jessie Ware? I know you really liked it.
Yeah, honestly, I was really caught off guard with it. I started listening to the Shuffle on YouTube playlist, and at first it started off, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. It sounded like a bit repetitive and generic at first, on the first couple of tracks, which I'm not sure exactly what they were because it was on Shuffle, but once I got really into it, it went up from like a 6 to like a high 8, low 9 for me, because it just got me off guard and it took me to a different place.
Yeah. I think my favorite track was the final track, Remember Where You Are. One thing that I'm a sucker for is just like really solid, well put together album closers that like close out the album super well and like wrap everything up.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, this song just had like the most wonderful like vocal harmonies. It was so like grandiose and like almost kind of heartwarming because it was like a little bit of a slower song but still danceable. And yeah, I feel like it just wrapped everything up super nicely. But yeah, I really don't think there were any bad songs on the album. There might have been like one or two that I was less crazy about than the other ones, but other than that, like just like insanely consistent quality throughout, I think.
Yeah, but even the songs that weren't like as strong, they still flowed with the
Yeah.
album. At least, like it didn't make it feel like a drag. It just made it feel like, oh, well, this is a nice track, and that's it.
Yeah.
because I've listened to albums where like, oh, this is a great album, and they have like one song that just drags the
Yeah, you
whole
just have to
thing
skip this
down.
one.
It's like, and that's the thing. I never wanted to skip any songs on this album, even like the weaker songs. I was like, they're good. They're not my favorite, but I definitely like them.
Yeah. I do remember. Yeah, I wish I had written down which one it was, because there was one song that was like a little bit more like, and it was a good song. It just wasn't completely my style. It was like kind of like just a lot slower. That I remember thinking like, okay, I'm not as into it, but even those kinds of songs are like, I can still tell that it's like extremely well done. And if you're into that style, then it's like perfect. But yeah, I loved the vocals. I think that like that's one thing that I tend to not focus on vocals as much, just being an instrumentalist, but I think that the vocals were kind of like the cherry on top for this album.
Yeah.
And yeah, the synths, the bass lines, everything is just like, it was a throwback, but in the modern era, and it was like, it's so perfect. Definitely one of my favorites. Whoops. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Any other thoughts anyone wants to throw out? Because I think we're gonna wrap this up pretty soon.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was just wanted to shout out "Read My Lips" is might be my favorite song at this point, but there's a couple songs on here that I haven't listened to yet. So
Okay.
It's kind of hard to say which one's my favorite. It's just so many good ones. And, like, and
Yeah, same.
I can't dance for shit. But this album makes me want to like dance. This makes me want to like groove. It makes me want to like, I like dancing to look like an idiot, sure, because I can't dance, because I know I can't dance, but I don't really like jump at the opportunity to dance. But this album makes me want to jump at the opportunity. If I heard this in a club, and I hate going to clubs, but if I heard this at a club and this started playing, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm dancing.
Oh, if there's a club playing this music, all four of us are going. I don't care about the vocals anymore. Like,
Oh yeah, and we're starting a mosh too.
Yeah, my wife would probably play something similar to this. She didn't love this album, but then again, she didn't really listen to it all that much, so maybe she'll give it a another chance. But she plays music very similar to this, like very. She likes disco a lot. She loves disco. Her gripes with most modern music is like, just if you're gonna play like a style of music from the past, just play it like that. Don't modernize it. And I'm like, babe, that's how music progresses. Like, no. So, but she would play shit like this, similar to this, not this exact album, because I don't know if I think she has to grow on her first before she can really enjoy it. But
just
yeah,
tell
she
her that
plays
it's
shit like
actually
this
from the 70s, and then she'll like it.
I should have done that first. I said it's disco, and she's like, it's post disco. I'm like, it's the same thing. No, it's not.
What the hell's post disco?
Well, it's more like this. No, it's not. No. I love my wife.
Is that your British accent?
That's my attempt at a British accent. I can do a better one, but I'm not gonna do it now.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely a banger of a track, and I hope she makes more music like this. I hope this is like the genre she sticks to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard to top this, right? I mean, where can she really like go from here? She can do like, if she does the same, if she does just like a part 2 of this album, I'd be totally down.
I'm so down for that. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know how far you can go with that. So there would have to be like some switch ups here and there, but still, yeah. I mean, I'm just glad that we got this album. Basically the only reason I bring that up is because I never like when there's an album that I like, I never try to get my hopes up for the next one, because I've been let down so many times. But
yeah, I don't really like. I mean, I know we just compared like previous albums to the artists, but I'll critique it as an individual first, and then I'll see where it holds up against the other ones. But I hate critics. Like, there's critics who, like, even towards movies or art pieces or just anything, they'll review it going, oh, well, it wasn't as good as that. I was like, okay, but review it as its own thing and then say it at the end. Don't start that off with like, oh, it wasn't as good as his first album, bro, and it was better in '78, but not as bad as a '79. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Monster.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You have to, like, because each art piece exists as its own thing, right? If you go into it with expecting something, then you're already going to be like in the wrong mindset, in my opinion, or at least not in
No, I totally agree.
Mindset. Yeah.
I think everyone should have that mindset, because I was just discussing this with somebody earlier. Like, they were saying like, I hate this top 10 list they put together. It's like, well, top 10 lists suck because, like, literally, unless it's like your own personal preference on things, you didn't say it like that. But if you say it's the best, it's stupid because you're reviewing it all clumped together of the artist's work rather than reviewing it as individual. You're comparing the work side by side rather than as the work itself, and I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, cool. Those are our 2020 top picks. I feel bad that Kayla couldn't be here to shout out the Taylor Swift album that came out 2 days ago, but
Taylor Swift album. There you go.
yeah, there we go. We did it for
What's
her.
the name of that album?
It is called Folklore. It's actually not bad.
I don't know. I can't get anything to Taylor Swift.
No, but it's different than her previous one because it's less pop and it's well, I mean, she has it in the title. It's literally like more folk, kind of like almost indie kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it's very soothing.
Yeah, the only thing that I've heard about this album, I haven't listened to it, maybe I will. I'm in a Sufjan Stevens group, and someone compared it to one of his albums, Carrie and Lowell, and a bunch of people were mad, and that was pretty fun.
Nice.
Anything that makes music nerds mad
that's
makes
the
me
only
happy.
thing I know. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Nutrition
Well,
pig.
Cool.
that's our
do
show.
we have any albums
Oh.
we're looking forward to? Or
Yeah, let's do that. Albums we're looking forward to. I know that
Metallica has a new one coming out soon.
I don't care.
Yeah, same.
Oh.
I mean,
Nothing exists after you master your puppets.
Yeah, I mean, have you heard the one that came out with like in 2016? Because it was
Livewire or whatever the fuck it's called.
Hardwired to self
Hardwire. I don't give a shit. That
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone was like, it's old Metallica. No, it's fucking not. It sounds
Yeah.
like post Black Album.
Yeah, what I don't even know what else is coming out. Does anyone else have anything?
I know there was the Rolling Stones album, but I know you don't give a shit about that either.
Yeah. Anything that's like from an artist that peaked in their 60s or 70s, like I don't care. Fuck off. Unless it's the David Bowie album, because that one was pretty good. But
no, that was phenomenal. I think that was like his better work than majority of like the post 90s stuff. I mean, he did some good stuff in post 90s for sure, but like to me that was his best post 90s thing. I even say it's better than his 90s stuff because I don't even remember really most of his 90s stuff other than that one collab he did with Mickey Rourke, which is a weird fucking song. It's Mickey Rourke, the actor, raps over a David Bowie a song, and it's interesting, but it's weird.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not a good music nerd anymore. I don't know what's upcoming.
Well, I mean, we've all been in quarantine.
I mean, I kind of asked the question because I have like one album that's coming out that I'm hyped for is the new Idols album.
I forgot about that. Yes.
And I'm guessing we're gonna do a follow up once 2020's ended and kind of see
we'll try to do it in
second half. About,
yeah, we usually
second half
yeah, last year we did that in December, and that's usually when all the like top album lists come out, so like we try to follow that bandwagon. Alrighty then, well, that's our show. You heard it here first. Best 3 albums of the year. Nothing else is ever going to top it. And definitely check them out. Join our Discord server and leave a comment if you have any feedback, because we love feedback. And yeah, so that's our show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and subscribe, all that good stuff. See you later.
Stay safe.
Bye, y'all.
Have fun inside.